stepped off the transport shuttle and looked around station with wide eyes. Everything was huge. The ceiling stretched up so high he could barely see it. Alien creatures of all shapes and sizes walked past him, some with 4 legs, some floating in the air, others sliding on the smooth metal floor. He pulled his 2 suitcases behind him and checked his again. Apartment Block 7V, Unit 247, his new home for the next 3 years while he worked as an engineer for the Galactic Engineering Corps. It was his first time off Earth, his first time living among aliens. His hands shook a little as he walked toward the housing district. The station was like a small city floating in space. Shops lined the walkways, selling strange foods and items had never seen before. The air smelled different here, cleaner somehow, with a slight metallic taste. He passed a food vendor where something purple and bubbling sat in a large pot. A group of tall, green-skinned aliens laughed loudly nearby. After 20 minutes of walking and getting lost twice, finally found Block 7V, the building was a tall tower made of dark blue metal that seemed to shimmer in the artificial light. He walked through the main entrance and into a lobby area. The furniture looked odd, clearly designed for bodies very different from human ones. "Can I help you?" a deep voice asked. Turned and froze. A massive alien woman stood behind a desk. She had 4 arms, blue skin that looked like smooth stone, and stood at least 8 feet tall. Her eyes were large and golden, and they stared at him with confusion. Yes," said, finding his voice. "I'm Jin. I was assigned to Unit 247. The alien woman's eyes grew even wider. She tapped at a screen with 2 of her hands while the other 2 crossed over her chest. "You are male." "Yes," wasn't sure why that mattered. "There must be a mistake. This is an all-female residential block." Felt his stomach drop. "What? No, look, I have my assignment right here." He pulled up the documents on his and showed her. The alien woman, whose name tag read Hey, studied the screen carefully. She let out a long sigh that sounded like wind whistling through a tunnel. The human gender markers were translated incorrectly. "Your species is still new to our systems. The computer thought you were female." "Can we fix it?" asked. Hay tapped at her screen again, all 4 hands moving quickly. Then she stopped and looked at with what might have been sympathy. "The housing office is closed for the Festival of Stellar Winds. 3 weeks. 3 weeks, felt panic rising in his chest. Where am I supposed to stay? Hay was quiet for a long moment. She looked then at her screen, then back at. I suppose you can stay here temporarily, but the other residents will not be happy about this. Males are not allowed in female housing blocks. It is the rule across most of the galaxy. I promise I'll be respectful, said quickly. I just need somewhere to sleep until this gets sorted out. Hay nodded slowly. Unit 247 is on the 7th floor. Take the lift at the end of the hall, but I must inform the other residents immediately. There will be a building meeting tonight in the common area. You should attend. Thanked her and dragged his suitcases to the lift. As the doors closed, he saw Hay already speaking into a communication device, her voice urgent. The 7th floor hallway was quiet and painted in soft purple colors. Found Unit 247 and pressed his hand to the lock panel. The door slid open with a soft hiss. The apartment was small but clean. There was a main room with strange furniture, a sleeping area with a platform that might have been a bed, and a small kitchen area. Everything was built lower to the ground than human furniture. The windows showed a beautiful view of space, stars twinkling against the black. Unpacked his clothes and tried to arrange them in the storage compartments. He was hanging up his jacket when he heard voices in the hallway outside. Female voices, speaking in various languages. The translation implant in his ear worked hard to keep up. A male here. How is this possible? I do not feel safe. This is our home, he cannot stay. Sat on the edge of the low bed platform and put his head in his hands. This was was not how he imagined his first day going. Hours later, after the sun outside the station windows had moved to a different position, made his way to the common area for the meeting. The room was large with seating areas and a kitchen space. About 30 alien women filled the room, all of them staring at him as he entered. He saw Hay standing near the front. Next to her were 3 other aliens who seemed to be waiting for him. "This is the human," Hay announced. "These are your floor neighbors," and Jinnah looked at them carefully. Appeared to be made of living crystal, her body transparent and glowing with soft blue light. Colors and patterns moved under her surface like thoughts he could almost see. Looked like a large cat walking on 2 legs, with golden fur, sharp teeth, and yellow eyes that studied him like a predator watching prey. Jinnah floated in a tank of water mounted on a hovering platform, her body like a jellyfish with long, flowing tentacles and bioluminescent spots that pulsed gently. "Hello," said, trying to smile. "I'm sorry for the confusion. I didn't know this was a female-only building." His body flashed with red and orange colors. His translator spoke for her. "Males of most species are dangerous. They are aggressive. They do not belong in peaceful housing." "Humans aren't like that," tried to explain. "We live together, males and females. It's normal for us." Growled softly, "Your species is strange." Jinnah's tentacles waved in her tank. "How do we know you are safe?" her translation device asked in a musical voice. Before could answer, Hay raised one of her 4 hands. "He stays for 3 weeks until housing can reassign him. That is final, but we will watch him carefully." The meeting continued with many residents expressing concerns and fears. Listened to them all, understanding their worry even if it frustrated him. Finally, he stood up. "I know this is strange for all of you. It's strange for me too, but I promise I'm just a regular guy trying to do his job. If there's anything I can do to help around the building while I'm here, just let me know." As he walked back to his apartment, he heard whispers following him. This was going to be a long 3 weeks. In his unit, looked out at the stars and wondered if he had made a huge mistake coming to space. Woke up on his 3rd day in Block 7V with his back aching. The sleeping platform was too low and too hard for human comfort. He stretched and groaned, then made his way to the small kitchen area. He had brought some food from Earth, basic things that could survive the long journey through space. Coffee, instant noodles, some spices. He started brewing coffee in a small pot, and within minutes, the smell filled his apartment. A loud banging came from his door. Rushed to open it and found standing there, her nose twitching, her pupils wide. "What is that smell?" she demanded, pushing past him into the apartment. She followed her nose to the kitchen and stared at the coffee pot. "What is this?" "It's coffee, a drink from Earth," explained. "Would you like to try some?" Leaned closer and sniffed. Her whole body seemed to relax. "This smell, it is like nothing I have experienced. It makes me feel calm." "Really? Coffee usually wakes humans up," said, pouring a small cup. "Be careful, it's hot." Took the cup carefully in her clawed hands and sipped. Her eyes closed and she made a sound like a purr. "On my world, we are always ready for battle, always tense, but this makes that feeling go away." Before could respond, more knocking echoed through his apartment. Soon his small unit was filled with curious neighbors. Some, loved the coffee smell. Others, like a purple-scaled resident named, found it overwhelming and left quickly, covering her nose. That evening decided to cook a real meal. He made pasta with tomato sauce, garlic bread, and a simple salad. The smells drifted through the building's ventilation system. Within an hour, he had visitors again. "What is that powerful smell?" Jinnah asked through her translation device, her tank floating outside his door. "It travels through the air systems. Half the building can smell it." "I'm just making dinner," said. "I didn't think about how far the smell would travel. I'm sorry." "Some residents are complaining," Jinnah said, but her bioluminescent spots were glowing in a pattern that seemed curious rather than angry. But others are curious. We do not have such strong food smells in our culture. We eat nutrient pastes. That sounds efficient, said, trying to be polite. It is boring, Jinna admitted. May I observe your cooking process? I am a scholar. I study cultural practices. Showed her how he cooked, explaining each step. Jinna watched with fascination, her tentacles pressing against the glass of her tank as if trying to get closer. The next day, noticed water dripping from the ceiling in the hallway outside his unit. He followed the wet trail and found water pouring from a pipe junction near the lift. Several residents stood around it looking worried. The repair crew cannot come for 5 days, Hay said, her 4 arms crossed in frustration. The whole floor might flood by then. We will have to evacuate. Examine the pipe carefully. I might be able to fix this temporarily. Do you have any tools? You are a structural engineer, not a plumber, Hay pointed out. On Earth, we learn to fix many things, said. Humans are good at improvising. Hay looked doubtful but brought him a basic tool kit. Also grabbed some strong tape from his apartment, something called duct tape that humans had used for centuries to fix temporary problems. He worked for 2 hours, taking apart the junction, finding the crack and wrapping it tightly with layers of tape and a metal clamp from the tool kit. It wasn't pretty, but when he turned the water back on, the leak had stopped. This will hold until the repair crew arrives, said, wiping his wet hands on his pants. The gathered residents stared at him. His body flashed with colors translator interpreted as surprise and approval. You fixed it with primitive materials and basic tools. My species would have calculated the problem for days before attempting a solution. Sometimes you just need to try things and see what works, said with a shrug. That evening sat in his apartment playing his guitar. It was an old acoustic he had brought from Earth, one of his few personal items. He played softly, a gentle melody his mother had taught him. A knock interrupted the song, stood at his door again. That sound, she said quietly. What is it? Music from my guitar, showed her the instrument. We do not have music on my world. We have battle drums, victory chants, but nothing like this. It is beautiful, sad but beautiful. Would you like to come in and listen? Offered. Hesitated, then nodded. She sat on the floor while played several songs. Other residents passed by in the hallway and stopped to listen. Soon, his glowing form appeared at the door, then Jinna's floating tank, then a dozen others. Played for an hour different styles of Earth music. Slow songs, fast songs, happy and sad melodies. The aliens listened in silence, their faces showing emotions could not quite read but seemed positive. When he finished, spoke first. Where I come from, we only know combat. We train from childhood to fight. This music makes me feel things I have no words for. Beauty without purpose is unusual in galactic culture, Jinna explained. Most art serves a function. Religious ceremony, historical record, mathematical demonstration, but your music is just for feeling. That's what art is supposed to be, said, at least for humans. Over the next few days, word spread through Block 7V about the human and his strange abilities. He fixed a broken food processor in the common area using spare parts and creative thinking. He helped an elderly resident reach a high shelf by building a simple step stool from storage boxes. He taught several residents how to play simple card games from Earth. Began following him around with a recording device, documenting everything he did. Human problem solving is fascinating, she explained through flashing colors. You do not specialize. You know a little about many things. Most species are not like this. Humans have to be adaptable, said. Earth is a difficult planet. We learned to do whatever was necessary to survive. A species, colors showed recognition. That explains much. By the end of the first week, the atmosphere in Block 7V had changed. Residents still watched carefully, but with curiosity now rather than fear. He still received suspicious looks from some, especially older residents, but others greeted him in the hallways. Hay called him to her office one afternoon. "The complaints about you have decreased," she said. "Some residents even submitted positive reports. This is unusual." "I'm just trying to be helpful," said. Male helpfulness toward unrelated females is uncommon in most species, Hay admitted. "But I am beginning to see that humans are different, very different." As walked back to his apartment, he felt lighter. Maybe these 3 weeks would not be so bad after all. Maybe, just maybe, he was starting to belong. Found the message painted on the lobby wall when he came back from work. Red letters in universal script dripped like blood. "Pay or suffer." Hay stood in front of it with all 4 arms hanging at her sides. She looked tired and worried. Other residents gathered around, whispering nervously. "What's going on?" asked. "The Red Claw Cartel," Hay said quietly. "They have been demanding protection money from buildings in this sector. We refused to pay 3 months ago. Now they are becoming more aggressive." "Protection money, that's extortion. Can't station security help?" A bitter laugh came from who stood nearby with her arms crossed. "Station security is useless. Half of them work for the cartels. The other half are too scared to do anything." Looked around at the gathered residents. He saw fear in their faces, regardless of what species they were. "How much are they demanding?" 5,000 credits per month, Hay answered. "Most residents here are refugees or outcasts. We live here because it is cheap. We cannot afford this." "Then we don't pay," said firmly. Everyone turned to stare at him. His body flashed with confused colors. "Not paying will bring violence. The Red Claw will make an example of us." "Then we defend ourselves," said. The lobby erupted in shocked voices, stepped closer to him. "You are serious. You would fight." "I would defend my home. This is my home now, at least for a few more weeks, and nobody should be able to bully you out of your homes." "Males of most species do not fight for others." Jinnah's tank floated closer, her tentacles waving with agitation. "Especially not for unrelated females. It goes against biological drives." "I'm human," said simply. "We protect our communities, it's what we do." Over the next 2 days, the threats increased. Someone broke the main entrance doors. Garbage was dumped in the hallways. Messages appeared threatening specific residents. The building felt like it was under siege. Spent his evenings talking to residents, trying to convince them they could stand together. Many were too afraid. Some wanted to find the money somehow and pay. Others talked about moving away, though they had nowhere to go. On the 3rd day after the first message, met someone new. A small, moth-like alien named approached him in the common area. She had large wings folded on her back, fuzzy antennae, and huge eyes that seemed to see everything. "You want to fight the Red Claw," she said softly. It was not a question. "I want to defend this building, yes. I was a security officer once, on my home station. I reported corruption and they fired me. I came here because no one else would hire me." His wings fluttered nervously. "But I know tactics. I know defense procedures. If you are serious about this, I can help." "I'm very serious," said. That evening called another building meeting. Not everyone came, but about 20 residents showed up. He stood in front of them with beside him. "I know you're all scared, I would be too, but running away or paying these criminals will not solve the problem. They will keep coming back, they will keep taking from you." Looked at each face. "On Earth we have a saying, home is not where you sleep. Home is what you defend together." "Easy for you to say," someone called out. "You can leave in a few weeks. This is our permanent home." "That's exactly why you need to fight," argued. "I'll be gone soon, but you'll still be here. Do you want to spend the rest of your lives being afraid, paying criminals, living in fear?" Hay stood up, her large form commanding attention. "The human is right. I fled because I refused to be controlled. I will not be controlled here either. I will fight." Stood next. I am a hunter. My people are warriors. I ran from my world because I was tired of endless fighting. But this is different. This is not conquest. This is defense. I will fight. His body lit up with bright colors. I am a scholar, not a fighter, but I will use my abilities to help. I will fight. One by one, more residents stood. Jinnah floating in her tank, a large, rock-like alien named Bora, a three-eyed merchant named. In the end, 15 residents committed to defending Block 7V. Felt a weight settle on his shoulders. These people were trusting him, a human they barely knew. He could not let them fail. Okay, he said, and I will come up with a defense plan. We need to know what we're working with. Everyone, tell me about your abilities, your strengths. They spent hours talking, learned that could create blindingly bright light displays with her crystalline body. Jinnah could produce chemicals in her tank, some that could stun or confuse, was trained in combat, though she had never fought to defend others before. Bora had incredible strength, could see in multiple light spectrums at once. Most galactic species fight in organized, formal ways, explained after the others left. Honor duels, declared battles, structured combat, but criminals like the Red Claw are different. They use fear and overwhelming force. On Earth, we learned to fight smart when we couldn't fight strong, said. Humans were weak compared to the predators on our world. We had to use our brains, use tricks and traps and tactics. Show me, said. Spent the next day drawing plans, explaining concepts like ambush points, defensive layers, and psychological warfare. Eyes grew wider as she listened. These tactics, they are considered dishonorable by most galactic standards. Honor doesn't matter when someone is trying to hurt your home, said. Survival matters, protection matters. That night received a message on his. It was from the Red Claw cartel, short and direct. You have 3 days to pay. After that, we come for you. We know about the human. We will make him an example first. Showed the message too. She read it and nodded slowly. They have heard about your organizing. They will come in force to crush any resistance before it grows. Good, said. Let them come, we'll be ready. You are either very brave or very foolish, said. My dad used to say those are the same thing. Pulled up his building schematics on his. Now, let's turn this apartment block into a fortress. As and worked late into the night planning their defense, realized something important. These aliens had become more than neighbors. They were his friends now, his community, and he would do anything to protect them. Even if it meant fighting a dangerous criminal cartel with nothing but creativity, determination, and the strange human ability to turn any place into home worth defending. The transformation of Block 7V began at dawn. Stood in the lobby with, both of them holding with detailed plans. First, we control the entrances, explained to the assembled defenders. The Red Claw will come through the main doors. We make that path as difficult as possible. Bora, the strong rock-like alien, moved heavy furniture to create barriers. They were positioned to slow down attackers but allow defenders to move freely. Showed them how to angle the barriers so anyone coming in would have to move in predictable patterns. On Earth, my grandfather told me stories about his village defending against raiders, said as he worked. They used the land itself as a weapon. We'll do the same with this building. Jinnah floated her tank to the building's water system. I can introduce chemicals into specific pipes, she explained. Some floors can have normal water. Others can have water mixed with compounds that create slippery surfaces or temporary confusion if they touch skin. Perfect, said, making notes. We activate those systems only when intruders reach certain floors. Worked on the lighting systems. Her crystalline form allowed her to interface directly with the building's electrical network. I can control every light in the building, she said through flashes of color. I can make them bright enough to blind, or dark enough that only those with special vision can see. Can see in multiple spectrums, pointed out. She can guide people in the dark. The three-eyed alien nodded. I will be your eyes when others are blind. Trained a small group in basic defensive fighting. In the common area, she demonstrated moves to 5 residents who volunteered despite their fear. You are not warriors, told them, but you can defend, hit and run. Do not stand and fight, strike from surprise, then retreat. Let the building itself do most of the fighting. Watched her teach and felt impressed. Moved like liquid violence, every motion precise and deadly. But she was patient with the clumsy residents, showing them simple but effective techniques. You are a good teacher, said during a break. His ears flicked. On my world, we do not teach outsiders to fight. We conquer or we are conquered, but this is different. These are my neighbors, my friends. She looked at with her yellow eyes. You did this. You made me see them differently. I just reminded everyone what they already knew, said. That communities survive when they work together. Over the next 2 days, the building became a maze of traps and surprises. Showed them tricks from Earth history, from ancient battles and modern tactics. They set up simple but effective traps in stairwells. They created false paths that led nowhere. They prepared emergency escape routes for residents who were not fighting. Hay organized the non-combatants. Elderly residents and those with children will shelter in the basement level. It has thick walls and a separate ventilation system. If the worst happens, you will be safe there. Helped reinforce the basement doors, adding extra locks and barricades. Nothing will get through here, he promised a worried mother holding a small, blue-furred child. In the evenings, the defenders gathered to share meals, taught them to make simple earth food. Others brought dishes from their worlds. The common area filled with strange smells and stranger combinations, but everyone ate and laughed together. On my world, meals are eaten alone, communicated through her light patterns. Eating is a private function, but this, sharing food with others, I understand now why humans do this. It creates bonds. That's the idea, said, smiling. Soldiers who eat together fight better together. Sat next to during these meals, closer than necessary. She brought him portions of her food to try, teaching him which parts were safe for humans to eat. Once, their hands touched when reaching for the same dish, and she did not pull away immediately. You are strange for a male, she said quietly one evening. You do not try to dominate. You do not display aggression to establish rank. You simply help. Is that strange? Asked. Yes, in a good way. Her tail swished slowly, a gesture had learned meant contentment. On the final day before the deadline, received information from her old contacts in station security. The Red Claw is sending 25 fighters, led by himself, the enforcer. He is dangerous, very dangerous. What's so? Asked. Reptilian species, large, strong, armored scales, natural weapons, has killed many beings. He enjoys it. His wings trembled slightly. He will not stop until he wins or dies. Then we make sure he doesn't win, said with more confidence than he felt. That night could not sleep. He walked the hallways of Block 7V, checking their preparations one more time. The building felt different now. It felt alive, aware, ready. He found Hay in the lobby, all 4 of her arms working on a control panel. Cannot sleep either, she asked without looking up. Too much to think about, admitted. Hay stopped working and turned to face him. On my world, I was to be bonded to a male I did not choose, a male who would control my life, my choices. I refused, I fled. I lost my family, my home, everything. I came to this station with nothing. She gestured around the lobby. This building became my home. These residents became my family. And now, a male I have known for only 2 weeks is willing to fight to defend it. It's the right thing to do, said simply. For humans, perhaps, not for most galactic species. Hay placed one of her large hands on shoulder. If we survive tomorrow, I will submit a petition to make you a permanent resident of Block 7V if you wish to stay. I'd like that, said, surprised by how much he meant it. As the station's lights dimmed to simulate night, returned to his apartment. He looked around at his small living space, at the low furniture he had learned to use, at the window showing infinite stars. 3 weeks ago, this had been a mistake, an error in bureaucracy. Now it was home. His beeped, a message from the Red Claw Cartel, just 2 words, tomorrow, noon. Send a message to all the defenders. Get some rest. Tomorrow we show them what happens when you threaten our home. He lay down on his too-hard sleeping platform and closed his eyes. Tomorrow would bring violence and danger, but it would also show the galaxy something important about humans. They were not the strongest species. They were not the fastest but they were the species that would defend any place they called home, and anyone they called friend, with everything they had. And that made them dangerous in ways the Red Claw Cartel could not understand. Noon arrived with footsteps, heavy footsteps that echoed through the streets outside Block 7V. Watched from a window on the 3rd floor, 25 figures approached the building. They were various species, all armed with weapons or natural armaments. At the front walked the largest being had ever seen. Was massive. His reptilian body stood nearly 9 feet tall, covered in dark green scales that looked like armor. His arms were thick with muscle, ending in clawed hands. His eyes glowed red in his angular face, and when he smiled, rows of sharp teeth showed. "Last chance, little residents," his voice boomed through a speaker device. "Open the doors, pay what you owe, or we come in and take everything." Hayes' voice responded through the building's intercom, all 4 of her hands steady on the controls. "Block 7V does not negotiate with criminals. Leave now." Laughed, a sound like stones grinding together. "You chose pain, remember that." The Red Claw enforcers charged the main entrance. The doors, already damaged from earlier attacks, broke easily. The criminals poured into the lobby, confident and aggressive. Immediately, they hit the first trap. The floor that Jinnah had treated with her chemicals was slick like ice. 5 enforcers slipped and crashed into each other. Before they could recover, activated every light in the lobby at maximum brightness. The sudden flash blinded most of the attackers. They stumbled, covering their eyes, shouting in confusion. The defenders who had been waiting in side rooms moved in quickly, striking with makeshift weapons, and then retreating through doors they had marked earlier. "Spread out," roared, "find them." The enforcers split into groups, moving deeper into the building. They entered the stairwells, unaware that and had prepared surprises on every level. One group reached the 3rd floor and found the hallway dark, had cut the lights. They moved slowly, trying to let their eyes adjust. Then, watching from a hidden position with her multiple spectrum vision, signaled. The feline warrior dropped from a ceiling panel, landing among them. Her claws flashed in the darkness. 3 enforcers went down before the others could react. Was gone before they could counterattack, disappearing through a maintenance shaft. Another group made it to the 5th floor, where they found residents' doors all open. Suspicious, they entered the units carefully. Inside, they found apartments empty but odd. Furniture was arranged strangely. The air smelled wrong. The chemicals Jinnah had placed in the ventilation system took effect. Not deadly, but disorienting. The enforcers started seeing double, their balance failing. When Bora and 3 other strong residents emerged from hiding, the drugged attackers could not fight back effectively. Floor by floor, the Red Claw enforcers were beaten back by tactics they did not understand. Organized assault formations meant nothing when the defenders did not stand and fight. Honor duels were useless when enemies attacked from behind, from above, from darkness. The building itself seemed alive and hostile. Watched his force get reduced from the lobby, his red eyes glowing brighter with rage. "Cowards, face me properly." "Different tactics for different situations," said, stepping into view on the balcony overlooking the lobby. "That's what humans do." Looked up at him and smiled. "The human, I hoped you would show yourself." He started climbing the stairs toward, his massive form moving with frightening speed. Ran, he was not stupid enough to fight a warrior directly. He led through the building, up more stairs, through corridors. Behind him, he heard the crash of doors being smashed, the roar of an angry predator. "You cannot run forever," shouted. "I don't need forever," called back, "just long enough." He led exactly where he wanted, up to the roof access. The door opened to the station's artificial sky above, with the roof of Block 7V stretching out flat and open. Emerged onto the roof, breathing hard but still dangerous. Nowhere left to run, human. "I'm not running anymore," said. In his hand, he held a small device had made for him. Charged, press the button. Every light on the roof, including the massive station lights above, flashed to maximum brightness. Screamed, blinded, stumbling, rolled aside as the massive crashed past him. But was a fighter. Even blind, he swept his arms wide trying to catch. His claws caught his arm, tearing through cloth and skin. Gasped in pain but kept moving. "I do not need to see to kill you," snarled, following sound. "You're right about that," admitted, "but you do need to see the edge." His foot found empty air. His eyes had not recovered enough to see that he was at the roof's edge. He tipped forward, his massive weight working against him. His claws scrambled at the roof surface but found no grip. Grabbed his arm, not to pull him up but to pull something from his belt, a recording device. "This is over," said. Fell with a roar, landing in a safety net 30 feet below that station maintenance kept for workers. He was alive but trapped. Station security arrived moments later. Not the corrupt ones, but officers had contacted, ones she trusted. The ones who had been waiting for proof of the Red Claw's activities. "We have everything recorded," said as security began arresting the defeated enforcers. "Video, audio, testimony. The Red Claw's operations on this station are finished." The news spread fast. A group of female residents and one human had defeated a notorious criminal cartel. The footage had recorded went viral across multiple systems. Aliens everywhere watched in disbelief as a small community defended their home using strange tactics and cooperation between species. 3 days later, the housing office opened after the festival. Went to submit his complaint about the housing error. "We have a proper male housing assignment for you," the clerk said. "It will be ready in 2 days." Looked at the offer on a nice apartment in a modern building, better amenities, proper furniture for human comfort. "I appreciate that," said, "but I'm going to decline. I want to stay in Block 7V. "But that is a female residence building." "Not anymore," said. "As of yesterday, Hay filed and received approval for it to become mixed-gender housing. I'm staying with my community." That evening, Block 7V held a celebration. Residents from other buildings came too, curious about the famous defenders. Music played, including guitar. Food from dozens of worlds filled tables. Found on the balcony looking at the stars. "You could have left," she said. "You had an easy way out." "Why would I leave?" asked. "This is home." "Home," repeated the word slowly. Humans have a strange definition of that word. "Home is where your people are," said. "Where you belong, where you would fight to stay." Moved closer, her tail brushing against his leg. "Would you like to have dinner with me tomorrow, just us? Human-style dadding, I think you call it." Smiled. "I would like that very much." Across the galaxy, news networks discussed the human housing incident. Military strategists studied the tactics used. Sociologists debated human-pack bonding behaviors. The phrase became common: humans will defend bond with anything. But in Block 7V, life simply continued. Went to work at his engineering job. He came home to neighbors who greeted him warmly. He played guitar in the common area. He helped fix things that broke. He belonged. Hay found him one morning in the lobby. "I heard from the Galactic Housing Authority. They want to study our building as a test case for multi-species mixed-gender housing." "What did you tell them?" asked. "I told them they could study from afar. We are not an experiment. We are a family." Hayes' four arms crossed in satisfaction. A very strange family, but a family nonetheless. Looked around the lobby at the residents passing through, his crystalline form glowing as she headed to her research job. Jinna's tank floating gracefully toward the lift. Bora carrying groceries for an elderly resident. In her new security uniform, proud and confident. This had started as a bureaucratic error, a wrong gender marker in a computer system, but it had become something more. Proof that home was not about where you came from or what you were assigned. Home was what you built together, what you defended together, what you chose together. And had chosen Block 7V, just as Block 7V had chosen him. The galaxy would continue to find humans confusing, dangerous, and strange. But here, in this one apartment building on a space station orbiting a binary star, one human had found his place. And that was enough.